When you enter the drama class, everything that you're worrying about in your personal life, you leave at the door. One subject was the election in 2023. And when she'd said that to me, I was like, I did not know that I had made that many videos, over 100 videos.
Kia ora everyone, I'm Rasha and I'm very, very excited to be having another amazing session at Voice of Aroha, this time with Jordan.
Kia ora.
How are you today, Jordan?
Not too bad, not too bad. It's a good day in Wellington.
It is actually. We have our thing on Voice of Aroha where we always say, if we were to give you the mic, how would you introduce yourself? I'm going to throw that on you.
My God.
I know. Sorry, there's so many things.
How would I introduce myself? Porirua maid, creative, artist, social media idiot is probably what I would say. Yeah.
I hadn't realised Porirua made.
Yeah, well, actually, technically not. I grew up, born and raised in Porirua anyway.
Nice.
But yeah.
Nice. Would you like to go into any of the details of creative and some of the journey that you've been on and the many, many, many things that you've done?
Oh, it is many things. So maybe I'll file it down to just a few. Porirua raised very creative kind of background. I guess I was just always really encouraged to be creative as a way of expressing myself. And then I got in high school and I think there's a really typical answer for most actors is they just had like a really cool teacher that just like, I don't want to say like awakened that in me, but yeah, there was just like a really cool drama teacher that made me feel like this was something I could do. And then went into that path, left, did life for a bit, but like I just found that everything that I did outside of the arts, I either kept getting pulled back into it somehow, or whatever I was doing, I somehow accidentally managed to turn it into some kind of performance or some kind of art exercise or something like that. And so I was like, I may as well just like pursue the arts, performing arts especially, because I'm automatically ending up in that space. And so, yeah, I think I just take the hint from the universe and just roll with it sometimes. Yeah.
That's awesome. So it was kind of the arts were drew you to them more than you to the arts.
Definitely.
That's really, really cool. Yeah. What was the moment like when your teacher was kind of inspiring you and kind of saying, and you're realizing, oh, maybe I can do this?
Oh, I don't know if there was an exact moment. It was Mrs. Jones, I'll say.
Aww.
I'll say her name. She was...
Shout out to Mrs. Jones.
Shout out Miss Jones. She was just like so cool in the way that she was like, she really embraced kind of the problemed kids and the kids that were clearly not being served by school so much. The education system, it was cool. It's good for people to learn, but for some kids, they really find it hard to sit with the 5 classes a day, go here, now go to this class, now go to this. It's the routine of school. I found it really hard to focus in, and then just going from one subject to the other. And so when you got to Mrs. Jones's class, you just felt like you could actually be yourself. It felt like you weren't really part of the routine. I think an hour with Miss Jones in the drama room didn't feel like an hour doing maths. No offense to my maths teacher, but and an hour doing those other things. I think time went slower. So the other thing that was really cool is like being like a big old moody teenager, as I think we all are at that time. Miss Jones had this thing where she would say, wipe your feet at the door. And that is so that when you enter the drama class, everything that you're worrying about in your personal life, you leave at the door. And you just enter in fully open to take on any offers from any other characters on stage and completely open to giving yourself to a story or a narrative that she gives you. And that was quite a nice escape. And I think it was accidental. I don't know if that was totally her purpose, but it was. I know me and my friend would purposely do that. It became a thing. We'd arrive at drama class and we would physically dust our feet at the door. And that was like our way of like forgetting any stresses that we had, any fights we had with like our parents or like, just typical teenage dramas. We just left them for an hour and then were just that and then left again. So I think it was that total escape is the realization that actually when you're playing a character, nothing else really exists. You don't have to think about your rent or any dramas that you're having with your family or your friends or anything like that. It is just the character. And even if the character that you're playing themselves is having a horrible life, you know, like a really rough one, it is still an escape because it's not your it's not your life. Yeah, I guess that can kind of sound kind of miserable, but that is addictive, I think. Yeah.
It's a really, really interesting way of describing drama and acting in particular. It sounds like that's been, like, you've taken that quite to heart. Has that been kind of your experience through your acting career of kind of that, like, I guess, escapism as you've described it?
I think so. At the start, it was definitely an escapism. And then, you know, as you grow up a little bit, you know, you don't really need so much the escapism, but you start to miss it. You know, like, we know you'll get your, like, your normal day job as well and go into those things. I'm very aware that when I've had very, very, I don't want to say normal jobs, but like jobs that are just going through the motions and are not typically creative, you know, I just start to go a little bit mad. And that's when I start reaching out to try and create new projects outside, or I try and change my role within those businesses and those jobs so that they can be more creative. And I think that's brought quite good success in different, you know, because there have been different jobs that I've had where I've brought in creative aspects because I needed it. But it's always been better for the business. It's always been better for the people around as well. So it's always been a good thing. But yeah, you do start to crave it after a while. Or even not even after a while, after like 2 hours, you know, of like not doing something creative. Definitely feel like I start to go mad. Yeah.
Is that what got you into like content creation and kind of all those kinds of things? You've done so many, like, as well as acting, you've also made a lot of like videos and everything else.
I've made a lot of videos.
A lot
of videos, yeah. I got a call from the Breakfast Show one time, and they were like, hey, we just noticed that you made 115 videos on one subject. Would you like to come on TV and talk about
what was the
subject?
one subject?
The one subject was the election in 2023. And when she'd said that to me, I was like, I did not know that I had made that many videos, over 100 videos I'd made. And it wasn't even the week of the elections yet. But I was like, wow, okay, I obviously am quite fired up about this. That's a lot of videos. No, there's lots of different reasons why. Originally, while I was on social media, this is how it started. When you're doing drama, when you're doing acting, for me, a really big part of it is not only the escapism, but it's also that I love words. I love words and linguistics and the history of the etymology, the history of words, how they came to be, how we use them, how you can say them. And so on TikTok especially, my page, anyone that's followed me from the start will know that my page started with me explaining words and how language evolves. But it just so happens that you really can't talk about the history of words without talking about how different cultures have met, how those words have evolved. And then you can't talk about that without addressing colonization. It's really hard to talk about colonization without also addressing Indigenous rights. There's no way you talk about Indigenous rights without getting political. So it never started as being something political. It was just I loved words and I liked sharing that because I'm an artist. And so that it's been really natural, but was never something that I like sought out at all.
That's so sweet. That's such a sweet,
Strange, right?
really, really, like, quite heartwarming and just quite a sweet, very charming way of like getting into, I guess, the sometimes messy world of politics, but just being like, no, I'm
so messy.
But very, very, very beautiful. Just you. Do you have a common theme, I guess, even now as like the whole bunch of media that you kind of made and produced varies like quite significantly? Are there like particular themes or messages or things like that you try and evoke or gift to the world through the very diverse medias and forms of content that you create?
There's no particular themes, I don't think. But I think because they're all expressions of myself and things that I want to say, whether or not I'm writing a series or a movie, there's always something in me that I'm just trying to express in that. It's usually an injustice or a fight against an injustice of some kind. And that's my upbringing. I was raised as a Baha'i. And so a large part of that is really looking at social injustice and Indigenous rights And that was always just a conversation in my house growing up. And so I think I was fortunate that from a young age I was able to identify those things in the news and around me quite soon, whereas I think sometimes if you're not having those conversations at home, it's a lot harder to identify those things. It's a lot easier to ignore them. And so through the arts, that's probably where I've tried to tackle those tougher subjects around injustice and Indigenous rights. Yeah.
Wow, that's such a cool answer. And I definitely agree with that in terms of, I guess, being able to label and kind of name this is what's going on, and kind of try and get to kind of the direct sources of the issues, versus you can kind of see, I mean, everyone, I think, can kind of see this, the world's not as we would like it to be, but there's so many different ways you can try and address that, or try and avoid that, or, there's various distractions as well from kind of focusing on, directly addressing injustice and things like that. So, yeah, that's
I think I was lucky that I was given the vocabulary to talk about those things at a young age, which I think a lot of people don't, and we really can't fault them for that. And it would be easy to, and I do see it happen, especially in social media. There's a sort of a berating or a condemnation of people that aren't quite up to today's standards of what we should all be acknowledging socially. But I'm also a firm believer in that we don't know what we don't know. And often if we berate those people for not knowing something, or for crossing a line, saying the wrong thing, if we berate them too soon, they're far less likely to want to learn more. And people who see that are also less likely to even approach that area at all. And so we do need to be quite aware of that when we're educating and when we're teaching in the social spaces as well. And that's also been a part of what I've done on social media, is to try and approach, I guess, complex issues with a little bit of comedy, but also mainly breaking it down so that people have the vocabulary to speak about it themselves. I think having the vocabulary is super empowering for an individual. And it makes people far more likely to want to learn as well.
I completely agree with that. And I think, as you say, in terms of I guess to paraphrase, kind of finding the line between kind of accountability in terms of what isn't okay for people to say and things like that, but also turning it from shame into curiosity, of making these topic matters approachable, that you actually can ask questions of, oh, what does this thing mean, or why do people believe it, or why do we have this in New Zealand, and all that kind of stuff. So
absolutely.
How do you see the arts in general as being important, or why do you see the arts as important to kind of enhancing our world, or helping create those conversations and things like that, as opposed to other methods of, I don't know, things in the world that you could do?
It's a hard thing because the arts are everything. It really is everything. It gets taken for granted as well. There's a lot of people as well that see funding for the arts as being pointless. But then those same people will go home and watch their favorite TV shows, and it's that's it. You're consuming art. That's it. The design of your, the chairs that you're sitting on when you're watching TV, what you're watching on TV, that's also the arts. And so it's in everything. How I see it as being important to addressing these issues and communicating them is that it isn't bound by language. So with the arts, performing arts, with movies, with music, we can expose people to these ideas without needing them to first have that vocabulary that I talked about to understand them. That's the beauty of it. You can communicate a lot without words through the arts, if that's a skill that you've honed. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. Social justice warrior in a good way, but through through the arts. Yeah.
Yeah.
How have you would you say honed those skills, and advice for people wanting to hone those skills to make a difference in the world through the arts?
Oh, to make a difference in the world. How would they hone those skills? Well, you consume it as much as you can. I mean, I'm an actor, and so watching movies is a fun thing that everyone does. But as an artist, that's research. You're doing research, you're learning and experiment. You've got to play with new stuff, and you've also got to be ready to look kind of stupid. You've got to be ready to, I guess, you never fail, but you've got to be ready to, not quite achieve the ideal look first time. There's a lot that I've learned through heck just giving it a go first and then seeing what sticks and what works, what doesn't work, what I like. Yeah, you've really just got to like give it a go. And then as soon as you feel comfortable, move on to the next thing. Add something else to make it uncomfortable. It's the same as working out, I guess, right? Like as soon as that weight is comfortable, add on another few kgs. You know, if you actually want to get stronger, it's the same with your artistic muscles. Add more stuff. Do some other things, you know, like the best thing for an artist is really having a range of experiences in life. So for acting as well, there's like nothing you can do. Like there's literally nothing you can do outside of acting that won't in some way inform your acting when you are in front of the camera or on stage. You know, like the range of random ass jobs that I've done, my CV is ridiculous, but I've always been able to find a way to bring it in, you know? Yeah.
It's really, really beautiful. And I think definitely very true advice, especially for anyone who's done any acting. Do you have like a favorite project so far that you've been on, or yeah, and if so, why?
I've worked on a lot of really cool projects, and this is in no way me dismissing any of the other cool ones that I've done. But I recently did two really good projects recently that I really enjoyed. I did a film down south called Planet 13, which was, you know, lightly touching on the importance of conservation and looking after our planet. But it would just so happen that Joe Murdy, who was the director who put it together, just put together like the coolest team of people, and it was I love a small crew as well, and I'm a really big fan. Sometimes when you work on bigger films, they'll try and separate the actors from the crew, and I'm just like not a fan of that because I like learning. So I like to watch what everyone else is doing as well, and I feel like it informs what I'm doing in front of camera if I know what everyone else is doing with the lighting and whatnot. And so getting to know that crew down there and my co-actor. Yeah, Joe just put together the coolest people. Like everyone down there, we were shooting in Queenstown, early mornings, freezing our asses off, late nights, you know. And also like really, really hot days as well. Some days walking to the middle of nowhere because we had to make it look like it was on a different planet. So we ended up walking to these very, very remote places that have been destroyed by mining.
Oh, wow,
so you get that kind of moon landscape. But yeah, it was just everybody on that crew was a really cool person, really free-spirited and open. We all really got along at the end of the day. So when it came to making the film, yeah, it just felt like playing. And that's what it should kind of feel like a lot of the time. And that's also a gift as an adult, is an opportunity to play and put on costumes and be, you know, and treat it like a playground. So yeah, Planet 13 was a really cool one for that reason. And then the other one that I worked on recently was my own one, so it was my kind of like first time directing, and it's a choose your own adventure series called Shadow Peak, and it's like a love letter to like 90s horror films, but also when I was a kid we had Goosebumps books where you like read a bit and then it's like you got to make a choice in the book and then choose what page to go to, and then decide what happens to your character. So yeah, Shadow Peak is my baby, and it's a choose your own adventure horror series where the audience gets to also be the director as well, and they get to make decisions for how they think the character should behave based on like what they vote for in the comment section. So it's a real experiment. It's that thing I was talking about like getting comfortable and then trying to invent something new to play with. That's what that is for me. So I'm excited for that. And it was also just really cool because, again, small crew. I invited my friends on there. There were also some new people in the industry I was able to bring on and teach them some cool things as well. And also all of my friends in the crew were like giving them turns doing, you know, try lighting, try operating the boom, try doing some camera stuff, do some acting. You know, that's cool when you can offer it as an experience as well as creating something.
Damn, that's awesome. Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
I dig it. Yeah.
Also, like, Shadow Peak sounds incredible. But also, I don't think do you know of any other TV shows or kind of like media that's done that before? Because it seems really, really, really
there's
cool.
so many like versions of that happening. But what me and Sarah came up with was like a new thing. And we Googled it for ages.
Yeah,
we were like,
yeah.
are we the first people to ever do this
Yeah.
thing? And then we were like, we are the first.
Yeah.
And then we came to the realization that actually maybe we're the first because this is a terrible idea. Maybe. So we did like a test series on like a mini version of it on Instagram. And it just went so well. And then for years people were asking us to do another one. And so we were like, oh, should we just do another one? So yeah, the one that we just worked on is, I guess, technically a season 2. But if you didn't watch season 1, you can totally watch season 2 as well. But it is like a very cool, just an idea, you know, a way to interact with the audience, a way to harness social media, because everyone's always talking to each other in comment sections anyway. What if they got to work with each other? I thought that was a cool idea. So excited to see how that rolls out.
Using the power of it for good, not for not
Yeah,
for,
you know, instead of everyone bagging on each other because they're politics, you know, they get to choose whether or not, you know, the main character gets, you know, packs a torch or a map, you know, and it's like a game. It's a lot more, people need that, I think. That kind of escapism and collaboration with strangers. That's a cool part of it.
Well, also, it sounds like it seems clear to me in terms of how much joy and play you have in your job and like in what you do, whenever what you do. So it's just so cool that you're kind of bringing that to the world. You're giving them the opportunity to have as much playfulness and joy in creating things as much as you do. It's a really, really cool thing. Yeah.
Because directing is a lot of fun. So doing this means that the audience gets to direct. I just think that's so cool, man. I'm so excited for like what options we've set up for them and what things will happen. Like there's so much. I think what the first version of it that we did was 6 episodes. So the audience got 5 choices in 6 episodes. This one pans out to being, I think this will be 12 episodes, I think. And there's a total of like, Jesus, there's like 24, no, there's like, I don't know how it works out. There'd be like 240 versions of the story that could be told based on the audience's votes.
Gosh. Are you filming all of that in advance?
Yeah, we've already shot it.
Oh, gosh.
So we shot all of it.
Wow.
Shot it. We spent a year writing it. I think it definitely spent over like 100 hours on Zoom going over it because you've got to like remember every possible outcome. And also it was like during the pandemic as well. We did so much like in Zoom, just going through and writing it, all the different things that could possibly happen, how many different motivations a human being can have depending on all the different choices that they could have made in the past. Yeah.
I feel like you get to know that character really, really, really well.
Yeah,
like
you almost like really want to get away from them after a while. But also, yeah, it was a lot of fun. And to make it easier for ourselves, myself and Sarah, as the writers, we also cast ourselves in the first version of it as the main actors in it because that was just easier to do it that way. And then when we moved into season 2, which is the one that's yet to come out, it was just easier for me to write myself in a way where I could be behind camera more. So I'm more of a director in this. And this one, based on the choices that the audience made the first time, they clearly wanted to know more about Sarah's character. And so we naturally went with that and wrote a season based on what the initial audience wanted. But there's a lot of really cool surprises in it and new characters for people to meet if they make those choices. I really hope they do. Man, I hope they do. Yeah.
That's so cool.
It's super cool, man. Yeah. I'm proud of it.
One of my questions was going to be like, you know, for those who don't know Jordan or haven't figured this out yet, you know, you've worked with like some of the biggest names in the industry for New Zealand, like Taika Waititi, Peter Jackson. And one of my questions was going to be, how do you stay grounded? But it seems like, you know, you just take a very enthusiastic, joyful, level-headed approach to everything that you do.
Keep it playful.
Keep it
playful. And I think give as much to compliments as you would to insults. Like that's the thing. I think a danger in the arts is only listening to what you really like. I think it's better off if you just like trust yourself. Did you do a good performance? Did you do a bad performance? Be honest with yourself. And then, you know, people are going to tell you stuff. You know, people are going to say they dislike something. People are going to tell you that they love something when they didn't. It's better just to be really clear with yourself how well you think you honestly did or what could honestly improve about this thing, as well as really giving yourself a pat on the back when you nail it. You know, be honest with yourself in that capacity as well. But yeah, then no, that is definitely a danger because people want to be nice, and especially in New Zealand, you know, people will say really nice things a lot of the time. But if you take too much of it on, if you listen to only the good stuff, you will stunt your growth. So definitely, yeah. I think I think I'm really lucky not coming from so much of a performance world or a performance background. Like I grew up in Porirua. I came from Aotea College. Yes, we have some performing arts students there, but largely when you came from my college, you know, you went on to you were a builder, an electrician, a plumber, you were an All Black. You just did like those kinds of things. And so I really appreciate my friend group who are all super supportive, but absolutely not in the world at all of performing arts. And they don't know exactly what is like a really big success. They just are like happy that I'm happy. And equally I am for them as well. Because it is quite cool, you know. I get that like being an actor and having your face on screen may seem like a big deal because of how broadly viewed it is. But, you know, my mate can build a house. I reckon, you know, like I reckon I can't do that. You know, and my other friend's a physiotherapist, and I'm like, I wouldn't know. Like, it's all we're all just doing jobs. I think that's it. So, just a good, honest friend group, I think, is a really good way to keep yourself grounded. And yeah, give as much to insults as you would to compliments. Yeah.
It's really, really cool advice that I've also never quite heard as eloquently as that before. I think it's really uniquely interesting. Yeah, that kind of, I guess, that keeping that ego in check of not getting too high, not getting too low either. It's just like, no, you're running your own race. But it's really, really cool hearing that.
The cool directors are like that too. Like Jermaine I'm not going to start name dropping, but Jermaine is like a really cool guy. Like he's also one of those ones where I've been able to like learn from him. Where we all know Jermaine Clement, you know, like he's huge, you know, like you know, main bad guy in a Men in Black film, and he's done Disney films, you know, and he's written songs for these really big things and had his own TV series, like really big stuff. But also like when I pass him by the bucket fountain every now and then, he's like, "Hey Jordan," I'm like, "Hey Jermaine," like it's still very much just like another guy walking around Wellington. And there's heaps of those. That's a very cool thing about Wellington as well, is that it's probably one of the only places in the world where you will also just, more so than anywhere else, very casually walk past people that have like Oscars and like Academy Awards and whatnot. They are all, that's the nice thing about Wellington as well. It's pretty easy to stay grounded here, I think.
What is one thing you would say to someone who maybe is inspired by you or just in general? You know,
inspired by me.
But someone who wants to pursue the arts maybe, but isn't sure about giving it a go or isn't sure about that risk kind of with that. What would you say to someone? Yeah.
Just do it. I know that sounds stupid. I don't want to be like a who was that guy years ago that was like, just do it. I don't want to be that, but it's so reachable now, you know, like Instagram's free, TikTok's free. I honestly just start making it. If the part of the arts that you want to pursue is the performing arts, start with skits. You've got a phone, film something, cut it together, put it out, see what people say, make the next thing. But I think what holds most artists back is they don't want to put out something that isn't perfect first. You just got to make something, finish it so you can move on to the next thing. Even the biggest artists and directors will still return to the same themes and the same ideas and then rework them and then make them again. So, just start now and put it out there and see what happens. A lot of the things that I've done for films that I wanted to write but I was iffy about, what I did first is I started by writing one scene and then shooting it in a way that made it look like it was a clip from a feature-length film.
Wow.
And then I published that and then read the comments. And if enough people say something like, hey, what movie is this from? Or where can I watch the rest of this? Oh my God, what happens next? If you get people asking for more of the world around this one scene, then you know you've probably got a good story to tell there. If you can entice them with one good scene. So if I get that, then that's usually what'll make me want to write the rest of the film. But it's like a cheeky way of
It's very
testing the
clever.
water.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one knows.
One slightly interesting question, I guess.
They've all been very interesting, right? They've been great
thank
questions.
You,
well done.
Thank you. One question is, what's one lesson you've had to learn over and over again throughout your life or your journey?
Oh, it's definitely been basically that, which is trust myself. Like I am saying, just get started, but I didn't tell myself that at the beginning, and no one else told me that. It's something that I've learned because after years, I finally did stuff, and then since then, all I've wished is that I'd done it sooner. So it really, like, trust yourself. Give it a go. Like, you might be wrong, but at least then you'll know, and you can do something better next time. But you can't improve on something if you don't do it. So, that would be the advice. Just start. Trust yourself.
Thank you so much. I would love to keep talking for hours. Unfortunately, we can't. We've got a tradition of Voice of Aroha that we have our previous guest write a question for the future guest.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's a great I love that.
You.
Okay, cool.
So our previous guest has written you a question, and then you will get the opportunity to write a question for the future guest.
Ooh.
So our question for our last question is, what's your why?
My why?
Your why, yep.
My why for the arts is... Oh. Sorry. Damn it. That's such a simple question. My why for the arts is I was raised by my grandfather. Damn it. My grandfather was a really good storyteller. And as a kid, I would spend a lot of time in his room asking him often the same questions and listening to the same stories. But they always meant a lot to me. And so I think it is that whole thing of like, I don't think I'll ever really be able to be that for anyone else. But being able to give a story and being a good orator and a good storyteller is a really good way of helping people escape from any of the other troubles in their life. So, and help them learn about going forward in their life as well. So my why is definitely, Damn. Yeah, my why is probably my granddad.
That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Jordan.
That's okay.
I feel I'm desperate to ask you more things, but I'll probably ask last question. What's your hope for the future for you, for the world, for anyone that you want to answer that for?
Oh my God, for the world.
Well, for Wellington, you know.
My hope for the future. My hope for the future is that we are able to start as a society, to start valuing broader conversations. I'm aware that as things go on now, there is a tendency to favor short-form content and quick summaries of things. But we are, in the world that we are now, we are in a place where we are losing the nuance of culture. All cultures. I mean, like, not just like indigenous culture, but even subcultures, even online cultures, drag culture, trans culture. We are at risk of really losing the nuances of those things. And as a result, I think a lot of governments in the world, or people specifically, are taking advantage of that to push through things that may seem reasonable but are actually quite harmful attacks on minorities. So my hope for the future is that we can actually start listening in a deeper sense, and people will want to listen, because that's what it takes, is people need to want to learn. It has to be, I don't know, we have to try and make it attractive again. It has to be cool. You know, we have to try and somehow get these nuanced conversations across in a way that currently we're just not really able to do. So I hope we can bring that back in. That's why we need to trap people in movie theaters and make them watch 2.5-hour films that are entertaining, but are also teaching people something, and they can walk out of the darkness at the end of that and maybe question something that they have believed for a while and they now realize probably isn't true. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful answers. Thank you so much, Jordan.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. As I say, wish we could talk more. But
Great to be here.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, and hope you have fabulous time with everything more that you produce.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I'm sure if you haven't caught it already, go check out some of Jordan Rivers' amazing content. Shadow Peak. We're all hyped with
Shadow Peak's cool. Check that out.
Yeah.
Geez, some of my TikTok not that amazing.
No, very
Thank you
humble,
very much.
But thank you so much, and I hope you guys enjoyed as well. Thank you very much. Ka kite.
Ka kite.